Om Shanti. Today, the Murli is about 4 things: Baba, purity, peace, and happiness. So, the whole Murli is about these 4 things if you summarize: Baba, purity, peace, and happiness. Now, there is a connection between Baba and purity because there is no one and nothing pure in this world. So we don't have any idea about what purity is until Baba comes. So Baba gives the knowledge, the power, everything about purity. And then there is a connection between purity, peace, and happiness, because purity is the mother of peace and happiness. So where there is no purity, there cannot be real, true, everlasting peace and happiness. So this is about the crux of the Murli today. Now, before I go into that, I want to talk about something very interesting that Baba is saying today, and that is about sorrow. And let me read out the lines first. And Baba says, question: what habit of the path of devotion should you children no longer have? So Baba says, on the path of devotion, when they experience a little sorrow or fall ill, they say, O Ram, O God. On the path of devotion, there is the habit of crying out in sorrow. You must no longer allow such words to emerge from your mouth. You should internally remember sweet Baba with a lot of love. Now, I want to talk about 2 things. One is the glorification of this habit of taking sorrow. And another thing is the glorification of this habit of crying out in sorrow. So, first thing is taking sorrow is very glorified. So, let me give you some examples. So in day-to-day conduct, we use these words. So, if I don't have this particular kind of food, even if you're talking about fruits or vegetables, it doesn't matter. I'm not just talking about, if you are fond of fried stuff or something like that, but then even if you say that, if I don't get some fruits to eat in a day, then I don't feel okay and I don't feel fine, or I feel bad about the day, or I think I had a bad day. So you are glorifying the fact that you feel sorrowful about something. Yeah, or you say that, if I don't get to work enough or I don't get to do quality work in the day, then I feel very sorrowful. So you can talk about work like that. Or you can talk about, so if I don't talk to this person every day, or even if it's your small daughter or son, so if I don't talk to my children every day, I don't feel good or I feel very sorrowful. Or when you say that, in movies and stuff, so sorrow is glorified badly when they show you pining for some human and then, shedding tears and wailing out in distress. And these aches of agony that they show because some human is not accessible, and you're crying bitterly and badly and shedding big tears, and then you also find that very attractive, and then sorrow is glorified. So, we have these three things: lust, need, and greed. So sometimes you will be told that when you don't get what you need, then you should be sorrowful. So sometimes, it's said that relationships are a need, it's necessary, or work is a need, and then you don't get it, then you should be sorrowful. So you should behave needy. And sometimes people complain with you that you are not behaving needy enough. And then they will tell you that I don't get that vibe from you that you need me. So neediness, the vibe of neediness is very glorified. And then if you are not sorrowful because of your neediness, then that's not celebrated a lot. So that is neediness. Then greed also is very celebrated, and then you say that I have a taste for this food, or this, I have a taste for music, or I want to watch stuff. So that is all greed. And then you want to you say that I don't feel okay if I don't do this. So, and these days, there are people who create these videos about how somebody who's playing a game is tempted to invest money into that game, and if they don't invest, then they are not feeling okay, and that game is tempting them to buy a package or buy some extra lives or something. And then those videos are made in a very cute manner, and then you feel like it's so cute to be under the influence of your senses. And that's cute behavior, that you are under the influence of your eyes or ears or mouth or hands that want to play a game. So there is a lot of celebration of lust, neediness, and greediness. So, and there is celebration of the sorrow that comes from the non-fulfillment of these things. So sorrow is very celebrated, and then crying out in sorrow is also very celebrated. So if you see people who are in the maybe even suffering in the hospital, and then they are crying out to God, and they are saying that what is God doing, and I don't have any faith, or I am hit badly, and what is the government doing, or what are other people doing, and then you see them crying and wailing, and you see that you feel that it is justified, and then you kind of have empathy for their crying out. So this crying out and this sorrow is very much conditioned into our the way in which we think and feel. And Baba says, so taking sorrow is a sin. We have understood that taking sorrow is a sin. And Baba has told us about the truth that if you give sorrow, it is a sin. And if you take sorrow, it is also a sin. Because it fills your heart with sorrow. And if your heart is filled with sorrow, you will experience sorrow and give sorrow, which becomes the basis of another kind of sin. So Baba says this taking sorrow is a sin. So whether you are feeling needy, greedy, or lustful, if you're feeling sorrowful because of that, that's a sin. And why are you sorrowful? Because you forget who you are, who you belong to, and you forget the secret of the drama, that everything is bound to change. Everything is bound to change, and the drama is not going to operate according to you, according to your wishes, your desires, but the drama is accurate, and the drama is also always providing you with something. But if you have the the glass of your desire on your eyes, you cannot see what the drama is giving you because you are so busy looking at what you want. So Baba has told us that see through your need, greed, and lust. So, this idea that I need this, I want this, I cannot live without this need, greed, and lust is blocking you from seeing what is available. And so, people are saying these days, I need to go out and I want to go out. But you are getting an opportunity which you never had, which is stay indoors. But you don't want to see that opportunity because you are so fixated with your idea of what you need and what you want. So Baba says these ideas of what you need, what you want, and what you can't live without, which is lust. So all these things are blocking you from seeing what is available. So you have Baba with you. You have 24 hours of time to meditate and earn the power and the virtues and the income you need for 21 births. You have all that at your disposal, and Baba says this is such a great time that the drama is cooperating with you to meditate. And we can't see all these, and we just keep taking sorrow and keep crying out in sorrow. So Baba says just observe that you have these habits of taking sorrow and crying out in sorrow, and Baba says it doesn't help. It doesn't help. If you keep taking sorrow, if you keep crying out in sorrow, you will become more sorrowful. What will I lose? Baba has got nothing to lose in that situation. So what is Baba's Shrimad? Baba says, stop doing that because it is not serving you and it is making you very miserable and you are only doing it out of habit. Now the truth is, situations are what they are. Every scene of the drama is what it is. And the truth is, you are more powerful than the scene. And you have the capacity to stay happy and peaceful come what may. So just plug into that capacity. Just go and access that capacity flying on this power of knowledge. So you have the knowledge that you are more powerful than any scene in the drama. You have greater power to create feelings of happiness and peace and stay in them, sustain them, and that's temperature of those feelings of peace and happiness can be higher than any other emotion you are experiencing right now. But you need to exercise this knowledge that you are having. And Baba says for that you need to draw in power through remembering me. So Baba says, if you just stop doing all this taking sorrow and crying out and wailing and complaining, and you just focused on one thing, which is lovingly remembering Baba and drawing in the power to stay loveful, stay stable, stay peaceful and happy and pure in such a situation, then Baba says, you will not need to cry out or you will not need to take sorrow and multiply that sorrow in the universe. So these are habits that we have created. Do you know our problems are not the world, our problems are the habits that we have created. And the biggest habit is taking sorrow, which we glorify universally. So it is glorified everywhere. So, crying is cute. People say they cry very cutely. I don't understand what's so cute about crying and complaining. So even with a child, we teach them that when you are crying and sobbing and complaining and wailing, that's very cute. And these days people make the videos of children who are complaining and crying and then they post it and people send 1,000 likes to it. So all that is the glorification of sorrow and wailing, and Baba says it doesn't help. So it is what it is, and you are very powerful. So just tune into that and stay happy, stay peaceful, come what may. And for that, you need to lovingly remember me, lovingly remember Baba's knowledge, lovingly remember Baba's form of ocean of peace and purity and love, despite his small size. Baba is just a tiny point, but he's an ocean. And when you remember that, you also remember that you are a tiny point, but you are the child of the ocean. And Baba says it is this state that you need to be in. You don't need to be crying and wailing. That doesn't help. So this is something that Baba is telling today. And then Baba is talking about two practices in the world that we do. So we say that you can become pure by bathing in the Ganga. Yes, so you go to the Ganga, bathe in it, and you become pure. Now, Baba says it doesn't work like that. If you remember the ocean of purity and become like him, so you become like the one you remember is the law. And if you remember the ocean of purity, then you will become pure. There is no other way to become pure. And Baba says, how can you become pure by going and bathing in the Ganga? So the first question that we need to ask in this regard is, who has become impure? Is it the body or is it the soul? Now, if it is the body that has become pure, they become impure, then the body can bathe in the Ganga. But then if it is the body that becomes impure, then when you leave the body, then why do you carry your sins with you, and why do you suffer for your sins in the next birth? You leave that body behind, right? So it is not the body that becomes impure. So the body can bathe in the Ganga, but the body is not impure. What is impure? And these days, even the body cannot get purified in the Ganga because the water is very impure. So the water is full of dirt and mud, and then even the body gets dirty. So Baba says, the soul has become impure because it is the soul who is acting through the body, and the punya or the pap that the soul does through the body is carried on by the soul. And about the soul, it is said in the Gita that water cannot touch the soul. Yes, it is said that the soul is beyond the touch of the five elements. So the soul cannot be touched by air, water, light, anything. So then what is it? Then if the soul cannot be touched by water, then how can you purify the soul with the water of Ganga? So this is something that Baba says doesn't work. And then Baba talks about devotion today, and Baba says devotion is not about truth, it is about belief. Yes, so devotion is about the belief that if you do this, you get this. And when you believe in something and you do it, you feel like you're getting it. But it's not happening. So belief is like a placebo. Yes, so do you know there are people who get well when they have an illness by taking in pseudo drugs, or drugs which are not drugs. In fact, they are just some sweet pills, and you just take them and you feel fine because you think that you are getting healed. So belief is like that. So belief is when you believe that the Ganga is cleaning you, then you feel like you're cleaned, but then that's not how you clean yourself, because the soul has become impure, and for some time you will feel that you are purified, but then those sanskars will return very soon. So Baba says that is devotion. You do something you believe in, and then you feel good for some time based on the belief that you held. But then truly you have not become pure, so those sanskars will return again. Yes, so that is something. So this is what Baba says. And then there is another thing that Baba says today, which is about when people leave the body, you say they went for heavenly abode, or say they left for heavenly abode. And then Baba says, somebody who was in hell and did nothing to go to heaven cannot go to heaven just like that. So, people think that going to heaven is as easy as dying. So, you just die and then go to heaven. But then Baba says, no, my dear children, going to heaven is not that easy. So you don't just have to die to go to heaven. So you have to work hard to go in heaven. So if you work hard in this lifetime, only then when you die, you go to heaven. So Baba says, it doesn't come that easy that you just die and then today you did every karma and then you die and you go to heaven. So Baba says, if you do all the kinds of stuff that you are continuously doing and then you die, you take birth in greater hell. Not in heaven. So that is what is happening these days, yes? So every second, every minute, this world is becoming bigger hell. Is it not? Yes, so somebody died last year and then they take birth this year, then this is bigger hell, it's not heaven. So Baba says, you're not going to heaven, you're going to bigger hell. So you have to make some preparations before you leave so that you go to heaven. And what are the preparations? Those are the preparations that Baba is teaching us, being bodiless, being soul conscious, remembering Baba, drawing in the qualities of Baba and putting them into action so that you create those sanskars. So Baba says, this work you have to do before you go to heaven. You can't go to heaven just like that by dying. And then Baba says something very funny, and Baba says that if somebody goes to heaven, why do you call them and feed the food of hell? So, we have this system of Shraddh in India, and people who supposedly go to heaven are again invoked every year, and then they are fed the food of hell. So you just cook for them and feed. So don't they relish delicacies in heaven that you have to call them and feed them here? So Baba asked this question, and I while growing up, I had this big problem with Shraddh, that in Shraddh, usually, that tori ki sabzi is made, and that, that's snake goat sabzi, and I didn't like it. So, of course, I don't have any likes or dislikes now, but as a child, I didn't like it. And then I used to ask my mother, did my grandfather enjoy this sabzi while he was alive? Why do you cook it with so much love when he's dead? So I used to think that this sabzi he mustn't have enjoyed even when he was alive. So why do you have to call him and feed this now? Or are you taking some revenge from him? So then she used to laugh and tell me, I don't have an answer for your questions. So Baba also says, why do you have to call somebody from heaven and feed them this kind of food if they are already in heaven? So Baba says this. And then also, there are the way in which this whole culture has developed, and on the days of Shraddh, I have seen that the Brahmins who eat in that Shraddh are they have to eat in so many houses, so nobody calls them all year, but then one day everybody calls them. So there are 30 invitations or 25 invitations, and nobody can eat so much. So then they eat very little, and then they are greedy for the money or the gifts that you give them along with that. So all of that is a very bizarre scene to watch. And then Baba says these practices that you are engaging in, you need to have a second look at it. And Baba says that's not how you call somebody who went to heaven. So Baba says nobody goes to heaven. And then when you feed somebody, it's not about what you feed, but how feed. Like, even if you are remembering something, let it be not by feeding a greedy Brahmin, but feeding somebody, just offering something to Baba in his remembrance, and with a lot of love and pure feelings in your heart. So that love and pure feelings will reach. That is why in the yajna we have a system of offering bhog to Baba in remembrance of the ancestors. And on those days, bhog is offered with a lot of love, and we have pure feelings, and we are in a state of remembrance of Baba. And in that state, that soul also receives that share of peace and purity of that state. So that is something that you can send. Otherwise, Baba says all this is of no use. So this is Baba's Murli, and Baba is talking about how Baba is the ocean of purity. And what is purity? So, purity is one of the most difficult things to comprehend, because we have had 63 births of impurity, absolute impurity. So, what is purity doesn't sit in our head. So, however much we try, purity just slips away. We don't get what purity is very often. But let me tell you, for me, there are two indicators of purity. That which I discussed in the meditation also. First indicator is you are not attracted by anything. So you are not attracted by any sign, any sight, any sound, anything, any smell, anything, any food, nothing. You are attracted by nothing. That is a sign of purity. And then the second sign of purity is you are not influenced by anything. Nothing can make you worry or afraid. Nothing can put you in doubt. So first thing is nothing can attract you, and second thing is nothing can put you in doubt or fear or worry. So that is a sign of purity. And when we say purity, usually it is said gold, pure gold. And if you just apply hydrochloric acid on pure gold, then nothing happens to it. So any kind of situation, storms, big financial losses, deaths, nothing, if they are not able to shake you, that is purity. Hydrochloric acid has a very burning sensation, and anything that can burn you and can't burn you. So anything that is supposed to burn you and can't burn you, and kind of certifies that you are pure. So usually when people are in the face of situations and attractions, they tend to be influenced. So Baba says this is it. Now this is about the final state of purity, but I'm not talking about the final state today, because we are all somewhere very distant from the final state. So today let me talk about compulsions. So I'm not even talking about attractions, because attraction is something better than a compulsion. So these days, people are suffering from compulsions. Yes, I have to see this. I have to eat this. I have to be here. I have to earn this much. I have to do this work. So there is something in your inner state that is kind of making it compulsory for you to engage in that thing. So can you identify your compulsions? So sometimes, people have this compulsive urge to reply. So if you don't reply back, you can't stay in peace. So, or a compulsive urge to maybe just shut down for some time, or a compulsive urge to eat something or watch something or be somewhere or do something. So, do you do you identify that there are these compulsive urges? How many of you do? So, yes, everybody, or do you not identify? So, let me tell you something about compulsive urges. Until and unless you look very deep, you will not be able to identify them. And I will tell you a very simple experience from my life. I was once in a situation where I didn't have water. So I boarded a bus and I had to travel the night, and then I didn't bring water and there was no water available. And there were passengers who had water, but I did not feel it was safe to ask from them. So I did not ask any one of them. And then, as the time went by, I felt the urge that thirst can bring you to. So I felt what thirst feels like. And I spent 3 hours before I got water. And that's the time I felt what it feels like to be thirsty. I have never felt thirst before or after that incident because I drink water before I'm thirsty. So sometimes you you will only be able to identify that compulsion within you if you abstain from that activity. So if you adopt abstinence, if you one day practice, just practice to not frown during the day. No frowning. Yeah, no replying. No watching TV. No watching anything. No hearing anything. Just practice these things. And then you will identify how much of compulsive feelings you have inside. Yes, so I've seen people who are asked to keep their phone out of the meditation class for 2 hours, and then they feel like they will die without the phone. You can see the look on their face. It looks like something, they have to have some policy decision on some international matter and it's pending because they are not looking at the phone. So that kind of compulsion there is. So just think about all the various compulsions you have. I am not talking about attractions, even compulsions, things you can't stay without. And Baba says, when you become aware of that, you become aware of the extent of your impurity. That's a sign of impurity. Yes, and then anybody who is impure can never be peaceful and happy, because the object of your attraction or fear will not let you rest in peace and happiness. So Baba says, that is a sign of the extent of impurity. And when you understand that, don't feel guilty or stressed about it. So, when you check your car and you find that it is running out of petrol, you don't feel guilty about it. What do? You take care that you fill it up very instantly. So Baba says, when you become aware of your impurity, then understand that you are empty, and then pay attention to filling yourself up. Pay attention to devote time and energy and thought to stay in soul consciousness and in remembrance of Baba. That is what you do more and more and more. So then you will arrive somewhere at a balance between how much of impurity you have and how much of yoga you need. And when you arrive at that and maintain that, then you will be pulled out of your impurity into a state of purity. And purity means peace and happiness. You will be happy and peaceful if you are in this state of being not influenced by anything. Okay, so Baba says the only way to get over impurity is to remember Baba, be soul conscious, but you don't do that because you are not aware of your impurity.